are live. Actually, Facebook goes live right away.
All
And we
right.
have, we're back. And so the Big Picture Philippines podcast, this is our live. We do this live weekly now. Hopefully, we can do weekly as often as we can. And we have a wonderful guest. And I have my co host with me right now. Finally, after the long hiatus, Joe is with us. And yeah, we'll have a little bit of chit chat later on as well, maybe after our call with Fitz. But overall, welcome everybody to this live that we have on our The Big Picture Philippines. And today we have a wonderful guest. I would call him one of the real OGs of finance. So we have here an author, right? An author, a blogger since 2007 with his blog Ready to Be Rich. And if you are someone watching this and you are maybe on your way or you're already rich, even if you're rich, right? Share this. If you're on your way or if you are working on that or if you have no idea what, how, or the what, the who, the why to be rich, I think you should tune in and watch this episode. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our wonderful guest for this afternoon's live podcast interview, Sir Fitz Villafuerte.
Hello, hi, and magandang araw.
Hi.
Good day to all our listeners and viewers dito sa Facebook Live natin. Hello, Dave. Hello, Joe. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yes. So Joe, why don't you ask our first questions as always?
All right. So,
The
Fritz, there's a lot of, I guess let's just get down to, like, I would say the elephant in the room. How important is, still focusing on not just getting rich, but getting right on your personal finance, especially at this time of the pandemic? Like, how important it is?
Well, as I've been getting feedback from my followers and from my readers, they never realized the importance of taking care of your finances. Up until this pandemic, they realized the importance of having an emergency fund. Actually, a lot of them were just thinking that I will never use this emergency fund anyway. So a lot of them chose to invest their emergency fund. And especially when the stock market went down last March, that's when they
Yeah.
realized, oh, so that's the point of putting your emergency fund in a savings account. You cannot really invest that. So yeah, it doesn't matter what you do for what your work is, what your occupation is, or what your profession is. Money will always be part of our lives, so it's really important to take care of it, regardless of the situation. Even if there's no pandemic, it's always important to take care of our finances. You just feel its importance more when there's like an economic crisis or a global crisis, such as what we're experiencing right now. And I actually tell people that during this time, especially that you're just at home, it's actually a good time to sit down and um, try to analyze your cash flow, study your finances, because you're not doing anything anyway. You're mostly at home. You can't really go out, especially on weekends. You don't have the time to really watch a movie or hang out with friends. So might as well do a little bit of introspection on your finances, because that will really help you survive this pandemic, financially speaking.
yeah, that thank you for
Okay.
sharing that because a
So
lot of
you've
us
been
know.
writing for,
All right.
yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah,
No,
so I mean,
I'm just saying, like, you like as Dave
my
is,
delay, no? Sige, go.
there's a little
Go
bit of
ahead, go
delay.
ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say,
Technology.
I'm just
Sige,
gonna say
go.
this. Yeah, this is the first time that we did this, like, three screens also. So I don't know, maybe that's the case. But anyway, what I'm trying to say, Sir Fritz, is this: you've been writing for a long time, and there's probably historically there's been a lot of ups and downs with the economy also in the past, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, what were I would say what surprised you? What were the like for this one, because this is a little bit different than what happened in the past, right?
Yes.
So what were the surprise? What are the things that kind of surprised you?
Well, it's the my first time to experience the Philippine Stock Exchange closing down because there's so many people that's selling their shares, and of course, in the
Mm.
past, the reason for the volatility in the market is some economic news, or there's like some global event that's happening that is totally caused by people. This is the first
Yeah,
time that a pandemic is happening. It's an event that is totally out of our control. A lot of
Mm.
economists say that this was a black swan event, and a lot of people didn't know what to do. I know some of my clients are were really panicking back in March and April, and of course, it's always important to really see what is causing the volatility in the market, and then try to come up with a plan of how do you deal with it. Of course, there's only two directions where your investments will go. It will either go up or down. And the best thing that you can do for your finances is to have a plan. If it goes up, what do you do? If it goes down, then what do you do? I guess that's the more objective approach. But yeah, this has been really surprising and challenging for the most part, because it's the first time that I usually tell people I don't know what's gonna happen, because that's the truth. Unlike
Yeah.
in previous years, for example, during the Asian financial crisis, during the mortgage prime crisis, there's a lot more of data that you can analyze
yeah,
and see, and a lot of information where you can base your financial plan with. But at this point, because of this, there's really no you cannot really say what's gonna happen for the next few months, because if a vaccine suddenly gets approved tomorrow, I'm sure everything, all your financial
Go
plans,
up.
yeah, yeah, you have to again change your financial plan, because I'm sure
Mm.
the variables will again change. I actually have a friend who is an economist, and I remember attending his market outlook last June, and someone asked him what is his prediction for the next 6 months, and he was also very honest to say that I don't know. He tried to use all the mathematical and economic models that
Mm.
he knows. He is a PhD in economics, and even him admitted that there's really no way to predict what's going to happen, unlike previous financial crisis where you have a certain level of certainty of what
certainty.
you think will happen. Yeah, but this time only one nobody has the crystal ball who can predict what will happen. So it's just important to be prepared. That's the key here. Be prepared for whatever happens.
Yeah.
What's
And I
the
think this.
fundamental? I sorry,
Yeah.
one more follow up question, Dave. What's the
Go
fundamental
ahead.
you think still stands? Like I know there's like a lot of uncertainty that, but what are the like for those people? Like a lot of people were caught off guard with this. Even though
Mm.
there was like kind of a warning already from the news, but then a lot of people would were still thinking well, it's not gonna happen, you know. But then like suddenly, bang, everything closed, business went down. It's very fast. It was I think it was like 10-15 days, and like everything was in rapid
Yeah.
succession. What fundamentals can we still rely on?
Well, when it comes to personal finance, there's no substitute for really knowing your cash flow, meaning tracking your expenses, really writing down what are the things that I need to prioritize when it comes to my spending, and of course trying to save as much as you can during financial crisis. It's always what they always say is that cash is king, so it's important for you to be able to save money. But also I also advise, especially for people who ask me what they're going to do now, it's important to focus on creating multiple sources of income. We always hear it's important to diversify your investments, but during times of recession, it's more important to focus on diversifying your income, meaning you should not really rely on one or two sources
One,
of income. Build
even
as
two,
much as you
huh?
can. Yeah. Uh,
Even two.
I read a book that millionaires have at least seven
Eight to
sources of
eight, yeah.
income. So you can just ask yourself, if I don't have seven sources of income, maybe I should add more if I want to be a millionaire. So that's an interesting thing that I've read in a book.
Absolutely.
Y-
Dave?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was really good. Those were really great questions, Joe, that we tackled right away to what's happening right now. And I think as you all know, guys, if you're watching this, we as well have no idea what's happening next. I think really I've also got this somewhere that let's all be kind to each other. We never know what's going on. We all need our support with each other. I think it's now the best time to really support each other, especially with businesses. And for those who are watching this or entrepreneurial, go ahead and support as many people as you can. And yeah, so that's just it. But going back, where I think that's about it for pandemic. Let's go and just make sure that we tackle this with really head on and with a lot of I know with
Yeah.
additional income streams. But yeah,
Yeah, just
for
getting it out
your
there.
case, let's get it out there. Yeah, but yeah, for your case, Sir Fitz, starting from 2007 and you did this, and I know that blogging was not really a thing at that time. Definitely you were the pioneers. But what got you passionate about this whole topic of getting rich and finance? Not a lot of people are into this, especially in the prior during those times. Perhaps not so much. We're talking about finance. So yeah, what made you do this?
Well, if I can give you a short summary of my journey towards becoming
Yes,
a
please.
financial advocate, I'm actually an engineer by education. I'm a civil engineer. And when I was working in the corporate world, I realized that it will take me a long time before I become rich as an engineer, especially in the country where there's a lot of seniority when it comes to the engineering field. And the only way that you can get rich is when you establish your networks and eventually put up your own firm. And during that time, I was in my early 20s. I was very eager to become rich as fast as I can because I have a lot of things that I want to do. So I said to myself, maybe there's other things that I can do aside from just waiting for me to advance through this career path. And a friend of mine told me, and it was during this time when the IT industry was starting to boom in the country. Of course, um, right now there's the nursing jobs who want to go abroad, who want to work abroad. But during that time, it was the computer science, the IT professionals who have the opportunities to work abroad. And of course, I have a friend who was working in Singapore back then, and he says to me that I'm actually earning four times as your salary now here in Singapore. And that was
Ouch.
enough for me. That was enough for me to consider jumping uh, industries. And so what I did back then was to self-study on IT. I tried to learn how to be a web developer so that I can gain some knowledge and a bit of experience so that I can work abroad. And to gain the experience, I started getting some freelance jobs. I was a systems analyst and a web developer for around 2 years. And for the first year of that, I was still an employee. So I was working as an engineer by day and by night, and during weekends, I was a web developer. And it came to a point when I realized that the money that I'm earning as a freelance developer is already the same as my salary as an engineer. And I said to myself, what if I quit my job and just do this freelancing full time? I'm sure I'm going to earn more. And so after a year, and after I closed a long-term project, I decided to leave the corporate world and become a freelance developer. And so my income actually rose because I was now a full-time freelancer. However, I kind of missed the regular salary that you receive as an employee, because as a
Mm.
freelance developer, uh, you don't know when you're going to receive your money. And I wanted that stability of income, I would say. But I don't want to go back to the corporate world. And because of that, I decided to start a business. I became an entrepreneur. And I said to myself, if I have a business, at least I have regular cash flow coming to me. But at the same time, I am able to build my career as a freelancer. During the time, I was very lucky to catch the initial wave of online gaming. It was the time of Ragnarok and Dota. So people were transitioning from Counter Strike, Red Alert, going to
Good times.
Ragnarok and Dota. Yes. And because I was working as a web developer, the natural business idea that I came up with was a computer shop,
Internet cafe.
an
Yeah,
internet
yes.
cafe. Exactly.
Yes, very usual, no? Very
Yes.
traditional path. Yeah, go ahead.
So that was my business that I put up. So I initially had 6 computers, and then at the back part of the shop, I have my mini office where I do my programming. And then the funny thing is, after about a year, I realized that the income that I'm getting from the business is now the same as what I'm earning as a freelancer. So
Wow.
again, I told myself, what if I just focus all my time on building this business? Then I don't have to do
Mm.
the programming anymore. I don't have to talk to clients anymore. I don't have to do all these proposals and invoicing. I can just stay in the shop all day, play Dota with all my customers all day, and just have fun. And that's actually what I did. So from 6 computers, eventually I reached around 24 units for my internet cafe. And
Mm.
it was during this time when my high school friends, my college friends, my neighbors started telling me that ang swerte ko daw. I'm very lucky because I was able to shift from being an employee to an entrepreneur. And it was only at that time when people started telling me this that I realized na, oo nga no, parang that's right. I never even planned for this, but it was what I was able to achieve. And of course, friends started to ask me, how did you do it? How did you do it? And one of my programmer friends told me about blogging. And he told me, why don't you create a blog so that you can tell your story? Because since you've been getting a lot of questions, so at least you can just tell them to just go to your blog and read about your story, instead of just telling the what you did over and over again. So that's what I did. That's how the blog started in 2007. It was a venue for me to share the lessons that I've learned on how I was able to transition from being an employee to an entrepreneur. And I realized as I was writing that blog that a big part of the journey was really being able to manage my personal finance. And if I didn't learn how to budget, how to manage my cash flow, how to manage my debts, how to leverage my debts, um, I wouldn't be able to do the transition. So I also started writing about personal finance, because I cannot just write about business if you don't know how to take care of your own money. How can you expect
Really
to
good
take
point.
care
Yeah.
of the money of the business? So I also started writing about personal finance. And during this time, I started getting questions about personal finance. I think that was the topic that resonated most from the
With you.
readers of my blog, more than the entrepreneurship part, more than the productivity part. It was really the personal finance part. And around 2010, so I have been already writing for 3 years about personal finance. Um, the Registered Financial Planners Institute of the Philippines approached me asking me if I wanted to be certified as a registered financial planner. I wasn't really interested, but then the director of RFP told me, if you get certified, you can now ethically ask for money when people ask you questions. And I told myself, oh yeah, that's a good idea, because I was afraid to ask for payment when people ask me for financial
Finance
advice.
tips.
Yeah, I always had I used to have a disclaimer on my blog na I am not a financial expert. Please take all my advice with a grain of salt. And then I realized that I can now take out the disclaimer because I will be certified an authority in the field.
Yeah.
I will have formal training. Plus, I can actually ask money for doing this. So I got myself
Yeah.
certified, and I guess that's how I reached this point where I am now a financial planner. And the thing is, I never thought that I would enjoy this. It's a very
Mm.
rewarding profession on my part. Uh, Especially that I've been doing this for so long. I've had people who discovered my blog and followed my advice like 5 6 years ago, and then one they would suddenly email me thanking me for all the lessons that they've learned. I've had emails from former OFWs who has been able to come back home and put up their own business because they were following my blog and they were just applying all the lessons that I was teaching on my blog. So for me, that was a very rewarding experience, and probably the reason why I stayed in this industry of financial services.
Yeah. Yeah, and my next question, really, thank you for sharing your story. I think it really gets us an idea of how anyone can actually get into this financial. You just be registered, you can blog, and definitely a lot of ways to go through this as if you want to go through that path. But one question that I really ask, because since you've been doing this since 2007, it's actually 13 years already, right?
Yeah.
So what have you learned throughout those years? Now, what is maybe let's talk about investment or anything about how to get that really to be rich. What's like the gist of it? My parang one takeaway ka ba dyan, Sir Fitz, about how one can truly become rich.
Well, I actually have the habit of reading through my past articles, the past lessons that I've shared, and I realized that the basics of personal finance doesn't really change. It's really
Mm.
the face changes, but the philosophy behind it never does. So one of the things that I've learned really is that if you want to be rich, the simple formula is you have to spend less than what you earn and invest the difference over many years. So it's not enough to just spend less than what you earn, because saving money will not make you rich. That savings, you have to learn how to invest it, because that's how your money grow. So of course, the strategies will change over the years. I remember like 10 years ago, the best investments there available were just the stock market and mutual funds. But right now, there's already a lot of options. We have ETFs, we have REITs, and the
Yeah.
Pag-ibig MP2. So there's so many options right now. But again, the principle behind building wealth has never changed. Just spend less than what you earn and invest the difference for many years. So that's what I've learned, and that's what I always tell people. What I've learned, one thing that people also ask me is how come I never run out of things to write about or teach on my blog. And I always tell them that one of the secrets of my blog is because I always write from my own experience, and it helps that I have a growth mindset. So I like learning new things. I like trying new things. And whenever I learn something new, that's what I write. So as long as I have a growth mindset, as long as I try to discover new things, I read a lot of books, I read a lot of websites, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and all the learnings that I get, I synthesize them into a blog post, and that's what I write about. So I guess that's also something that people should remember, that having a growth mindset will really be able to help you grow your wealth. As I always tell people, your education determines your execution, meaning you cannot do anything if you don't know how to do it. So as much as you can, you have to learn how to do different kinds of things, because your knowledge will be able to lead you to opportunities, and you will be able to execute things, be able to seize income opportunities when it passes you. Because if you just be complacent with what you know, and just be satisfied with what you've learned in college, then it will be very hard for you to seize opportunities, because of course the world is always changing. Information is coming at a very fast pace, and there's already a lot of new things,
Yeah.
diba?
Yung
So
richest man of the in the world is actually just, this business was just in like with less than 20 years, I guess, right? Amazon
that's
is
right.
like less than
Yeah.
internet, times. And now
It's
richest man in the world.
accelerated.
Grabe.
Yeah. A
Grabe, no?
lot of things now, it has been accelerated. But let's go back to, I don't know, Sir Fritz. I would imagine a lot of people have been asking you for advice. Okay, and then what are the common themes, and from that, what are the common problems that you're seeing, and like what if there's a solution basically for that common problem? What would it be?
Well, the most common question that I get is number one, how do I save money? Number two is, what's a good business to put up? And number three, um, what's the best investment to put your money in? And
Okay.
unfortunately, I always tell people those are the three questions that you should not be asking. Because
Wow, yeah.
number one, how do you save money? You actually don't have to focus on saving money. What I tell people is that when you want to save money, you focus on the process. You have to put up a system wherein it will be comfortable for you to save money. So the right question to ask is, what can I do to help me save money? And each person is different. Personal finance is different. Personal finance is personal. So for some people,
Mm.
saving a portion of their income regularly works for them. For some people, doing a game, gamifying their saving process works for them. For example, I have a friend who always keeps his 20 pesos. So whenever he receives 20 pesos, he doesn't spend it anymore. So just by doing that, he's able to save a couple of thousand pesos every month. So that's already enough.
Wow.
Some people, there's a lot of budgeting strategies out there. You have to
Yeah.
find the one that you're
Techniques.
comfortable with.
That works for you.
Yes, that
Oh.
works for you. So I always ask them, how are you trying to save right now? And then ask yourself, how can you improve your system? So for example, someone who has been having a difficult time saving money, I ask them, what's the main problem? And he says that he's an impulsive buyer. So whenever there's a sale, whenever he sees
Yun.
something, he buys. So I told him, the question is not how do you save money, but the right question is how do you solve your impulse buying
Perf.
habit?
Yeah.
So that's really the question to ask. So it's really important to do some introspection. As per the second question of what's a good business to start today, again, that's the wrong question, because a business is always location dependent. So I don't know where you want to put up your business. So I cannot really say what's a good business for you. But
Yeah.
the foundation of being an entrepreneur is, of course, solving problems. So the
Oh,
question to
yes.
ask is, what
What problem?
problem do you see around you that
Awesome.
you
You
can
can solve.
solve with your business. So I once joked with someone who is asking me what's a good business to start, and then I told him na it's good to put up a hardware store right now. And I noticed that he was a bit confused of my answer, and that's when I told him, you're asking me because that's my perspective. In my subdivision, there's no hardware store. I do some home works. I like doing some home improvements in my house, and
Handicraft.
I really have to
Yeah.
go to the mall that's like 30 minutes away if I just want to buy one nail. So for me, I think a good business in my area would be a hardware store. So I encourage
Yeah.
him to do the same. Look around you. I have an acronym, yung AIDA, AIDA. So find something that
Mm.
annoys, irritates, disappoints, or angers people. What makes people angry, ah, irritated, disappointed, and or angry. And then try to see if you can solve any of those problems. And that's your business idea. So again, it's wrong to ask what's a
Wow,
good
I
business
love
to put
that.
up today. Yeah. But ask yourself, what's the problem that you see around that you think,
Mm.
you believe you can solve? Because that's the business idea that you should go into. And of course, the last question that I always get is, what's a good business to put up today? And I believe that the reason why we invest is because we want to grow our money, but that's not the end. We want to grow our money because we want to buy something or we want to do something. So we have a financial goal. So it's important to have a financial goal because your financial goal will dictate where you should invest. Because if your goal is just to grow your money and just that's the reason why you want to invest, I think that's very short-sighted. That's an incomplete uh, goal because
Yeah.
you won't be able to do anything with your money. Even if you have 10 million pesos right now, if you don't
Yeah.
have any plans for it, you won't be able to enjoy it. You want to grow your money because you want to do something or buy something. And the best investment is always the investment that will help you achieve your financial goal. A very simple example is I had an OFW client who wanted to invest 1 million pesos. And I asked her, what's your goal? What's your financial goal? And she says that she wants to put up a business someday, and that's her business capital. So I asked her, what type of business are you planning to put up? And she says that she wants to put up a laundry shop. So I told her, if we look at the franchising fees of a laundry shop right now, I just did a quick Google search. I can see it's around 650,000. So your 1 million now is already enough to get that franchise business. You don't have to invest it anymore. So that's
Mm.
a simple example that says that having a financial goal is important. Another example that I can probably share is a friend of mine who has around 100,000 pesos, and he wants to invest it because he and his wife, they want to have a vacation in Greece, a Santorini vacation for around a week.
Wow.
And I asked him, when do you plan to go? And how much will it cost? And he says that they're planning to do that on their 10th wedding anniversary 3 years from now. So you have the target date, and then I ask him if you can estimate how much you'll need. Then let's see. And by computation, they're going to need around 150,000 pesos for that. So you have 100,000 pesos now. Your goal is to have 150,000 pesos 3 years from now. And given that, it's now easier for us to look at investments that will help you achieve that goal. And just by
Wow.
looking at the figures, I told them that you don't have to invest in the stock market. That may be a bit risky. There's a lot of mutual funds that had historical performance of gaining this much percent every year for the past 10 years. So if you invest your money here, then the chances are very high that you'll reach your target goal. So again, there's no such thing as the best investment. There's only the best investment that can help you achieve your financial goal. So the financial goal is the first step. Then you try to work backwards, leading to how much money do you have now, and then see which investment will help you reach your goal. So I can't tell you what's the best investment for you if you don't have a goal. So those are the three
I like
most
that.
common questions that I get.
Wow, you just
I like
simplified,
that.
really simplified the whole thing, Joe. Would you agree, right? If you
Yeah,
are
it's
listening
very
or watching
simple.
this, yeah.
And what I really like about it, no, is that it's really going back to the heart of the matter, because what you're saying, like, we have questions, but that's not really our problem. Our problem is the heart of the matter, which is our financial goal. What is it that we really need? And because sometimes we just like, especially in this day and age where we see a lot of people on social media, and we kind of adapt their their goals also, and we could say, I also like that, I also like this, and then, like, but what you're saying, Sir Fritz, is that we go back to the heart of the matter. What is it really? And I guess, from how you explain it, I really like it, because it simplifies, it's very direct also to what how you will really solve your problem in the very first place.
Yeah, and yeah, and going back to that, right? That if you really don't know what you want, that's the problem. Kasi you really pointed out, di ba? O, ikaw, you wanna be rich, but why do you wanna be rich, di ba? And you don't know. And
Yeah,
sometimes that's the
And what
only
is rich
question you have to
also, right?
ask.
I mean, what is rich
Yeah.
also, that for you? That's a big question.
that's right. I always ask people, rich is a relative term. Ask a fishbowl vendor how much money do they need to call themselves rich. They'll probably say 1 million pesos, 2 million pesos. But ask a vice president of a company, they'll probably say 50 million, 100 million pesos. So that is relative. That's
Yeah.
why personal finance is personal. It's really about knowing what you want
Mm.
in life and then finding ways to be able to reach your dreams. So rich or being financially free, it's different for each person. So try to avoid comparing yourself against others. You are running
Yun.
your own race. Okay. And
Yes.
I often get asked, what are my investments? And I try to say that I try to avoid telling people what my investments are, because my financial goals is different from you. For example,
Mm.
did you know that I actually don't have a house? I have no plans of buying my own house. But of course, I have three condominium units that I am renting out. But I have no plans of. I plan to be a professional renter my whole life. Of course,
Wow.
that's not a dream for many people. I know a lot of people who wants to buy their own house. They have their vision of their own dream house, and that's okay. That's your dream. But for me, because one of my visions for myself is I'll be doing a lot of travels. I want to experience living in different cities and in different countries, even if I can do that. But of course, in the Philippines, I've lived in Cebu for like around 3 months. I've lived in Davao for a couple of months, and I like that kind of lifestyle. That's why I am designing my life around that vision, which of course my financial decisions, my investment portfolio, eh, um, follows that. So
And your career also.
yes, also that's why I
Yeah.
try to build an online career also, so that I can
Yeah.
You can adjust.
practice, yeah, practice my profession, even just if I'm
It's kind of
online.
hard to move around.
That's right. So again, don't copy what other people are doing when it comes to their finances. It's always best to first decide what you want, have your life design, and then learn the basics, and then come up with your own financial strategy, investment strategy that will help you achieve the
Sustain,
things
yeah.
that, yeah, that achieve the things that you really want in life. So if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you want, then it will be very hard for you to come up with the practical things that you can do when it comes to your money. And I myself will not be able to help you if you don't know what you want. I remember
Yeah.
someone asking me, he has 50,000 pesos and he wants to invest it. So I asked that person, "What's your financial goal? What are your plans for the 50,000 pesos?" And after a couple of days of thinking, he comes back to me and says that he really doesn't have any plans for the 50,000 pesos. He can't think of any
Mm.
financial goal. And I told him, well, then maybe you can just donate the 50,000 pesos so that you'll be able to help other people. Diba? Kasi wala siyang
Donate to me.
yeah. I told him that one of the scientifically backed uh, ways of feeling happiness is to help other people. So
To
I told
give,
him that
right?
money can buy happiness. The secret is you have to spend your money the correct way. And one of the best ways
Mm.
to spend your money to be able to quote unquote buy happiness is to spend that money on others, so to help others. So I told him,
Yeah.
if you want to be happy, just donate the money, use it to help other people, because after a couple of days you still can't think of any financial goals for that money. So might as well use that for helping other people.
Yeah. And I think, guys, if you're watching this, this is the real OG over here. Really valuable insights that I think it really adds clarity for anyone who's
that's
watching
how, you
this
know, that's like listening to his
experience.
experience. It's like you're ninja chopping everything here, and it's like it's very clear. Your samurai is very sharp, and it's very
Thank you.
clear now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd like to dig deeper into this one thing that I think a lot of Filipinos, a lot maybe of our listeners, and even me are affected, right? That this comparing with someone, then all of a sudden they're showing up this, I don't know, Lamborghinis, not here in the Philippines, but you know, they're cash and how you can earn this as well, and then you invest, and then you realize it's a scam, right? And usually what they offer is yung mga very complex stuff like Bitcoin that we don't have any idea. And someone who's really, you know, hard-earned earnings, they invest and you know, wala. So how do you avoid that kind of scenario for those who are saving up and then nawala lang kasi na put up into a scam or a sketchy investment? Yeah. How can you help those people, or how can we what's the advice?
Yeah, well, the foundation there is you should not invest on something that you do not understand. So even if it's a legal investment, if you do not understand it, do not invest on it. So you have to first invest on knowledge. So we hear a lot of people losing money on the stock market. Of course, the stock market is a legal investment, but why do
Mm,
people lose money in the stock market? Is because they put money in the stock market even before they understand how it is or what it is. So if they only take that, if only they can take the time and energy to understand how a specific investment works, it will be easy for you to see that if something is a scam or if something is a pyramid scheme. There's some, when I did a talk in Bacolod, there was someone who was asking me that there's this cocoa farm, cacao farm investment
mm,
crowdfunding thing in Romblon, where you invest this amount of money and then you'll earn this much money every quarter, etc. So I told him, "Do you understand how the cacao business works? Have you done the research?"
good question.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and he found out that cacao trees don't really grow in Romblon. So I told him again, after you do the due diligence, you found out that it's not something. Again, the point is, diba, you have to study what you're going into. You have to understand how is this business going to make money. Uh, is the business plan feasible? Is it something that is possible even. And that's when he realized that, oo nga, no, this looks like a scam, even if the numbers make sense. But if you know someone from Romblon, maybe ask them to visit the address and
The
see if
farm,
there's
yeah.
really a farm there. So that's a very simple example, especially right now. There's a lot of crowdfunding, agriculture type of investments, no? And again, one of the more popular investments lately is mga cryptocurrency investments, mining,
Yeah, a
etc.
lot.
So again, if you don't know how Bitcoin works, if you don't know how cryptocurrency works, then I would advise you to stay away from that, because you don't know how how it works. Because a lot of the investment scams that involve cryptocurrencies is basically mining the
Mm,
cryptocurrencies, or doing a pyramid gifting scheme.
yeah,
So of course, the gifting scheme, it's just an elaborate model for a pyramid scheme. So
pyramid.
if you understand how a pyramid scheme works, then you'll see that it's just exactly the same. They're just using a different
Mm.
form of
A
asset.
front, different front.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's right. Which is very reminiscent of, like, I think 3 years or 4 years ago, when there was M Goldex. They were using gold for
Yeah,
that scheme. And I remember around 7 or 8 years ago, there was a similar scheme, and they were using cell phone load. So cell phone
Wow.
load yung product, but the scheme, you will not be able to earn unless you recruit other people. So that's a classic example of a pyramid scheme if you need to recruit someone to earn money. So again, a cell phone load, a tangible product. Gold is a tangible product. Bitcoin is I would say, a tangible product also. That's a legal, or no, that's something that actually
recognized.
exists. Yeah,
Yeah,
recognized. But the business model that is being used is a scam. So again, you have to study the business, and especially the mining, cryptocurrency mining. I If we go back around 4 or 5 years ago, that might be a legal investment. But if you do your research right now, because cryptocurrency mining is already there's already a lot of Bitcoin out there. So you need a lot of computer power to be able to mine. And there are actually YouTube videos wherein they show warehouses in China, in the US, wherein those are Bitcoin mining operations. So investing a couple of hundred of dollars to a Bitcoin mining operation online, that's very dubious already, di ba? How can
Mm.
someone build a Bitcoin mining operation under the radar, or a fly-by-night Bitcoin mining operation? You cannot do that anymore. You have to have a warehouse full of servers to do that. So immediately you know that that is a scam. So again, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's really important for you to understand what you're investing on, not just knowing how it works, but really doing your due diligence, understanding how the business or how the investment will make money, because that's the best way for you to avoid a scam.
Yeah.
it's
And
weird,
go.
because sometimes, sorry, Dave. What I'm trying to say is
Yeah, go
like,
ahead.
we sometimes, because we look at the numbers and we look at the returns, we throw away all logic, and we say like, you know what?
That's it.
It
Yeah, of
sounds
course.
Bahala
like
na.
really good, so I might as well do it.
Yeah, of course, because people are always driven by emotion. That's what marketing people do. They appeal to our emotions. And of course, these scammers, they know that people respond well to greed. So it's either
Mm.
fear or greed. Those are the two primary emotions that they use for to convince you to invest. When I say fear, they will say that if you don't invest now, you will be losing on an opportunity
Urgency,
of a
yeah.
lifetime.
Yeah,
So that's they are playing on your fear. And then
right.
they will say na in just a couple of weeks, you'll be able to double your money. So now they're appealing to your greed. So when it comes to money,
Wow.
it's important to be emotionless. I would say it's important to be objective. So don't let your emotions get the best of you. So it's important to really sit down and study what you're going into.
So true.
Yeah, and in line with that, Joe, and that topic, right, Sir Fitz, it's this concept of greed, right, and getting rich quick. Why do so many people fall into that, right? So, how about you? Do you believe that there is such thing as a get rich business or investment quick scheme talaga na in a year, in 6 months? What do you think?
I would say it is possible to get rich quick, but you have to spend a lot of years in learning the proper
The back
skills to
end,
be able
yeah,
to do that. So investing on something or doing something for the first time and expecting to get rich quick from that, that's
gambling na yan.
impossible. That's close to impossible. So what am I trying to say? For example, I know someone who has been dabbling on the stock market, forex trading for several years. He didn't really took it seriously, but every now and then he's been trying to study it. And then there was a year when he told himself, "This is something that I will focus on this year." So in a span of 3 or 4 months, he was really able to build a lot of money, grow a lot of money. He had a 50,000 peso capital, and he was able to grow it through stock trading to around 2 million pesos in a span of 3 months.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's a get rich quick
Mm,
thing, no? But again, we always forget that that point was built from the five,
mm,
6 years of him
prior,
really
yeah.
trying to slowly grow his knowledge about stock trading. So, of course, there are people on YouTube who seemingly became an overnight viral success, and
Yeah.
from 1 subscriber to 1 million subscriber in a span of 5, 6 years. And I can imagine I can qualify that as a get rich quick uh, um, feat, no, or an achievement. But of course, someone who has gone viral, who has uh, amassed millions of subscribers on YouTube and probably earning thousands, hundreds and thousands of pesos from YouTube ads, you have to look back. How did that person learn to be a good YouTuber? Of course, uh,
Yeah.
that person probably learned during his younger years how to dance or how to talk to people. He must have learned his or her unique sense of unique brand of sense of humor. He must have
Uh,
been able to, of course, there are artistas na seemingly overnight success, but of course, you have to think about the many
pag
years
bata
of
pa pala,
them. Yeah, the many years that
napasayaw.
they've spent on grooming themselves, no? Siyempre, may mga bagong na-discover na artista, seemingly in a couple of months, sobrang yaman na those, you can say na biglang yaman, but of course, you failed to realize that it took them several years, probably going to the gym or uh, honing their acting skills, trying out for several auditions, di ba? So, not a lot of people realize that. They only see the massive success that they immediately see without really realizing the years of hard work and accumulation of knowledge that came before that. So that's
Yeah.
very important to realize. And as I mentioned earlier, your education determines your execution. So what you know, the skills, the knowledge that you have, those are the tools that you will use to be able to build your wealth, to be able to find these opportunities, because seemingly useless skills sometimes they become the core skills that you
Yeah.
need to become
So
rich.
true.
Wow,
So
I love that.
So true.
yeah.
I love that. Right, so true. So, wow, that is, I we usually put our takeaways here, Sir Fitz, but I think the takeaway for me is to listen
Yeah.
back again. If you're watching this, if you're seeing this, or if you're hearing this on wherever you're hearing this, listen to that again because this is truth bombs, value bombs all throughout the episode.
True.
So thank you so much, Sir Fitz, for sharing your knowledge, and we'll now move on to what we call our lightning round.
With a
we don't have sound effects. Sorry. Lead start up.
Alright.
Oh, sige, go ahead, Joe. You want to start with the first question?
All right. So the first question is it's been a long time since I've asked this, but let me just think about one question. What would be do you have a morning routine? And if you have, can you share it to our viewers?
Well, my morning routine is basically doing some mindful meditation and stretching when I wake up, and then eating breakfast. Not really breakfast because I wake up at around 9 a.m. So it's technically brunch. And
Yeah.
then taking a bath after eating. And then after that, going to my planner and see what I need to do for the day. So basically, what I don't miss is doing the mindful meditation for 10 minutes and doing some stretching.
Awesome.
Wow. I love
I like
that.
that. I
So,
like that.
okay, so do you consider yourself successful, Sir Fitz?
I don't try to think of myself as successful. What I actually focus on is, am I still enjoying what I'm doing right now? Because
Wow.
if
Yeah.
if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing right now anymore, then I might as well find a new interest or a new passion. So I guess that's what I value more, being able to enjoy what I'm doing, being able to feel being able to feel the fulfillment, being fulfilled with what I am currently doing. So that's what I try to focus more on.
Yeah.
That's a really good
To,
question to ask every morning, right? Am I still enjoying my life? Right? Wow.
yeah.
Okay, Joe.
What resource can you suggest, whether a book, a podcast, a vlog, YouTube channel, that you can suggest for our viewers so that I don't know, like maybe they can get better at their finances, or just better at life.
One of the blogs that really helped me, help shape my personal finance perspective is Get Rich Slowly. So it's an American blog.
Yeah.
So they can search for that, Get Rich Slowly, and The Simple Dollar. So these two American personal
Mm.
finance blog really helped me improve my perspective when it comes to personal finance. As Dave Ramsey once said, financial success is 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge. So we can spend all our time learning about the stock market, learning how investments work, but that's just 20%. If you really want to grow your wealth, you have to focus on the behavior, on the mindset, because that's the 80%. And blogs such as Get Rich Slowly and The Simple Dollar have been treasure trove for me in learning about these things. And one aspect also that a lot of people forget is learning about productivity habits, because
Mm.
as I mentioned earlier, it's always better to focus on your system. What is your life's operating system? Because the things that you do every day, those are the things that will really help you change your life. So being productive, being able to learn time management, energy management, being able to know what are the proper ways to plan your day, and all those, taking care of your mental and physical health. Those are the things that will really help you achieve your financial goals.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah. So actually ask this question always, Fitz, right? Sir Fitz. A lot of our listeners are also IFWs, perhaps. We haven't checked recently, but yeah, we're expecting that. Yeah, for those who are Filipinos who are working abroad, or maybe locally, but stuck in a job or in a life that they're not happy anymore, right? What is your number one advice to those people?
Um, Again, design your life. I mean, set up your financial goals. If you plan to go back home, set a date. When do you want to go back home?
Wow, yes, set the date.
How much do you need to be able to come back home? How much cash flow do you need to create so that you'll be able to sustain your lifestyle when you come back home? So it's hard to see a target that it's hard to hit it's difficult to hit a target that you cannot see. So if you want to come back home, you have to define what's your target specifically. When do you want to come back home? How much money do you need? So that it will be easier to work on achieving that. That's assuming that you want to come back to the Philippines and finally settle here. Ang term nila dyan is mga makapag for good. That's what they tell them. I'm still they always tell themselves that kailan kaya ako makakapag for good. So they are trying to ask themselves when can they come back for good. So if you want to kung gusto mong mag for good, you have to define what does that mean to you. Where do you want to establish yourself when you come back home? And what do you plan to do? Do you want to plan a business? Do you want to invest in real estate and just live off rental property and things like that? Because when you have these details, it's easier to plan for it. When you know exactly where you want to go or what you want to achieve, it's easier to to find the correct path for you to achieve that.
Yeah, it boils
Amazing.
down to what you said. It's really just being clear on your goal. So I really
Yes.
love that how you align those things. This is the last question in the lightning round, and this is the most difficult question.
We
where
always
can
say it, but
I always say it? Nah, just where can people find more about you or your work, your business? Now, what's the fastest way to reach what you do?
Well, the fastest way to reach me is to go to my portal, which is at readytoberich.com. Over the years, I've built a lot of online presence. I have a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. I have a podcast. I have my blog. I have all these things. And I've decided I'm tired of telling all my URLs and all my social media accounts. So I created a portal so they can just go to readytoberich.com and they'll find everything that they'll need there. Hopefully, there's a link there to send me an email if they want to contact me via email. There's a link going to my blog, to my podcast, to my Facebook page, to my Twitter account, even to my Instagram account. So that's it. Just go to readytoberich.com
Ready to be
and
rich.
those
.com.
everything you need is there.
Yeah, of course, Sir Fitz. It's he has a book, a couple of books, Affordable Legacy, Guide to Investing. Those two books, I think you should check those out as well.
That's right.
So
That's right.
yeah, it's such an honor to have you here, Sir Fitz. I think this is an amazing interview, full of knowledge, full of like true and tested knowledge, of course. Really based on those years of experience that you have. So we're just so honored to have you here. It's hopefully our listeners are checking this out. Hopefully you're learning something. And if you have a success story that you want to share or anything about your tip of avoiding scam perhaps or handling finances with family, there's so many things about finances that we can cover, but of course we can't cover them all in this call. So feel free to reach out to Sir Fitz if you need more of these, or to us, both Joe and I, about resources and where we can find those right people. So that's about it for me. Joe, anything you want to add?
Yeah, just tag your friends. I really love what has been shared by Sir Fritz. I suggest you do a replay to that and do it in slow motion and get a sheet of paper, take notes, and just take action because I really love it. Simple, and sharp and just on point. Perfect.
All right.
Right.
So thank you once again, Sir Fitz. This has been a lovely afternoon. Thank you everyone for watching. See you on the group. See you on the page. And this is Dave.
This is Joe.
This is
Sir Fritz.
And this is Sir Fitz.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching.